Hi, and welcome to That's Ruddy Mysterious, a podcast of short tales about true mysteries. What happened to the Flannan Isles Lightkeepers? Who was responsible for the Gardner Museum heist? I'm not going to solve those mysteries, but they'll be interesting to learn about. I'm your host, Kelly with an I. Transcripts for all episodes can be found at that'sruddymysterious.wordpress.com. No apostrophe and no exclamation point. Today's tale is about French pirate Olivier Levasseur. Olivier Levasseur was the son of a freebooter born in Calais, France, sometime between 1688 and 1690. He was hanged to death in Réunion, a department of France in the Indian Ocean, on July 7, 1730, daring either find my treasure, he who can, or find my treasure, ye who may understand it. Legend has it he threw a necklace into the crowd as he shouted this. The necklace had a cryptogram in it. Before being hanged, Levasseur told his jailer, "With what I've hidden not far from here, I could buy the entire island." Olivier Levasseur served as a privateer in the French Navy during the Spanish Succession. When the war ended, France no longer needed privateers, but Levasseur wasn't finished sailing. He continued as a pirate. Because of his swift and ruthless attacks on his enemies and his verbal attacks on opponents, Levasseur gained the nicknames Le Bousse, or the Buzzard, and Le Bouche, or the Mouth. He was said to have been illiterate. On April 26, 1721, Levasseur and the English pirate John Taylor together captured Nossa Senhora de Cabo, or the Virgin of the Cape, which was an 800-ton Portuguese vessel with 72 cannons. The Virgin of the Cape was carrying vast amounts of treasure. Its hold was full of gold, silver, precious stones, guineas, spices, silks, and notably, the Flaming Cross of Goa. The treasure in the hold of the Virgin of the Cape is estimated to have been worth over 4 billion euros. Levasseur and his partners divided the treasure, and Levasseur took the Virgin of the Cape as his own, renaming it La Victoria, or the Victorious. The Flaming Cross of Goa is a large icon. It is made of solid gold and stands 7 feet or 2 meters tall. It was said to be encrusted with diamonds, rubies, and emeralds. According to legend, it was so heavy that it required 3 men to carry it. But was it even real? There's some evidence this cross never existed. Until the capture of the Virgin of the Cape, the Flaming Cross of Goa is not mentioned in any historical records. An icon this large and important should show up somewhere. Diamonds were also not particularly important until the 19th century, so why would they have been mentioned in the legend of Levasseur? The Flaming Cross of Goa is said to have been huge, so it would not have been valuable to a pirate. Gold is only as good as it is tradable. Gold coins and bars are easy to trade, but a 7-foot gold cross that required 3 people to carry it is not. Levasseur sailed the Victorious for a few years before trying to retire in 1724 under the Charter of Clemency. However, the government wanted Levasseur to turn over all of his treasure, which is estimated to have been worth over £1 billion. Levasseur didn't want to give up his treasure, so he tried to lie low. He is said to have buried his treasure, alleged to be the biggest pirate treasure trove in history, somewhere in the Seychelles, which is an archipelago of 115 islands in the Indian Ocean, off the coast of East Africa. In 1729, Levasseur was discovered and arrested. He was tried and sentenced to death by hanging. The hanging was carried out on July 7, 1730. What was in the cryptogram that Levasseur threw to the crowd just before his hanging? It was deciphered in 1934 by French historian Charles de Roncière. He deciphered it in his book Le Filibustier Mystérieux, Histoire d'un trésor caché, or The Mysterious Filibuster, Story of a Hidden Treasure. The cipher was a pigpen cipher, which was often used by both the Knights Templar and the Freemasons. A pigpen cipher is a geometric, simple substitution cipher which exchanges letters for symbols. Pigpen ciphers are very easy to decipher. Levasseur's cryptogram didn't reveal the location of his treasure or any other details about the treasure. It turned out to be a recipe. One line of the cryptogram talks about cooking pigeons and discusses how to remove their hearts. Decades later, another cryptogram was said to have been found, but this second one turned out to be fake. In 1923, Rose Savoy found rock carvings at Belle Ombre Beach on Mahe Island in the Seychelles. The carvings were a random assortment of images. They included pictures of a dog, snake, turtle, woman's body, man's head, 2 interlocked hearts, and other images. She investigated further, bringing a public notary into the investigation. This investigation led to a map saying that Belle Ombre Beach belonged to Labousse. They continued to investigate, which led to the remains of a man and woman, both of whom are believed to be pirates. These 2 pirates may or may not be linked to Levasseur. The notary also found a will from Bernardin Naguillon de Lestang, aka Le Boutin, the Loot, who was also a pirate. The will talks about hidden treasures throughout the Indian Ocean. Le Boutin was said to have received cryptograms that revealed the locations of the treasures. In 1947, Reginald Cruz Wilkins discovered the mystery while recovering from malaria. He dedicated the rest of his life to searching for Levasseur's treasure. He did find some artifacts while searching a cave in Mahe, but he never found the huge treasure. He died in 1977, and his son John took over the search. Some historians argue the legend of Levasseur was never true, although Levasseur was definitely a real historical figure. They say that a man about to be hanged wouldn't have had his hands free to throw anything to the crowd, so the necklace could not have been real. They also argue that the cross never could have existed because it is not in any historical records. If Levasseur was illiterate, who wrote the cipher he supposedly threw to the crowd before being hanged? Normally, before an execution, a prisoner's hands would be tied. How could Levasseur have been able to throw a necklace to the crowd with his hands bound? Levasseur is said to have hidden the largest pirate treasure, but was the treasure even real? Is it all a legend? Was the Flaming Cross of Goa ever real? What do you think? If you're listening on Spotify, scroll down and let me know what you think. Thanks for listening to today's episode of That's Ready Mysterious. I'm your host, Kelly with an I. If you enjoyed this episode, leave a review and follow That's Ready Mysterious to be updated about new episodes. Tune in next Tuesday for another thought-provoking tale.